to volunteer at my local United Way. And I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, but I did the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is basically a library that sends out books to kids of a certain age, but once they reach a certain age, they don't receive the books anymore. So I was working with my United Way, volunteering with my United Way for that. Years later, AmeriCorps was brought to me. It was brought to me because one of the employees at United Way went to my father and was like, "What is your daughter doing this summer?" And he was like, "I don't know." They told him about AmeriCorps. He came to me and I was like, "There'll be something that I'm interested in." And I went, did the interview process, and it was history from there. Here I am 4 years later.
Alrighty, folks, we are back with another AmeriCorps Connections podcast. And I'm really excited about this one because we have Mikayla Wright. And this is so exciting because Mikayla is usually behind the scenes of the AmeriCorps Connections podcast, editing out all the crazy stuff that I say. And I email her and I say, "Could you cut this out at this point?" And she is great at, like I just said before we hit recording, make me not sound. But among other things, Mikayla is an AmeriCorps alum, and I just learned she did four summer service terms. So we're going to go into her story. For those of you that are new to this podcast, my name is Nicki Fiocco, and I'm the creator of AmeriCorps Connections. I'm a proud AmeriCorps alum, and AmeriCorps is 30 years old this year. 30 years ago, President Bill Clinton swore the AmeriCorps funding into existence. And ever since then, we've had over 1.3 million people serve through this organization, AmeriCorps. And it is a game changer, folks. AmeriCorps is a game changer for individuals, for communities, for organizations. So what I try to do on this podcast is highlight AmeriCorps alums who've gone through a service year or 4 or 5 and really dive into not only their service year, which is really important, but what they're doing now, right? Because that's what's important. How can we galvanize ourselves as 1.3, is that what I said? 1.3 million alumni who have gone through service, and how can we come together, meet each other in person, virtually, and really move the needle on where AmeriCorps is going to go after. For those of you that don't know, I'm an astrology buff, and so it's like a Saturn return for AmeriCorps. 30 years of Saturn return. So I'm really excited to dive into this interview with Mikayla. Before we get started, Dan Medevere, thank you so much for stepping up and putting this podcast on all of your podcast platforms. NCCC alum, he was the very first one that said your podcast needs to be everywhere, and he did it for free, and he's a rock star. And Mikayla's boss and my friend, Sharon Tewksbury Bloom from, you guessed it, Do Good, Be Good, is also supporting on the back end of this podcast with some of the editing. Sharon and Mikayla and the entire team over there at Do Good and Be Good, thank you so much for your support on the back end. So without any further ado, Mikayla, your service year, did you learn about AmeriCorps, and why'd you jump in?
My story is a little different than other stories. I believe I was a sophomore in high school.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, somewhere around there. And backstory, AmeriCorps was serving with my local United Way, which is Black River United Way in my community. I previously, when I was probably 7 or 8, I used to volunteer at my local United Way. And I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, but I did the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is basically a library that sends out books to kids of a certain age, but once they reach a certain age, they don't receive the books anymore. So I was working with my United Way, volunteering with my United Way for that. Years later, AmeriCorps was brought to me. It was brought to me because one of the employees at United Way went to my father and was like, "What is your daughter doing this summer?" And he was like, "I don't know." They told him about AmeriCorps. He came to me and I was like, "There'll be something that I'm interested in." And I went, did the interview process, and it was history from there. Here I am 4 years later, along from AmeriCorps.
I love that you learned about AmeriCorps during your high school year. I think that's something that is it's hard to it seems to be challenging for some states to get that into the high school
High school.
curriculum of, yeah, hey, this is an option, right? If you don't want to go, or you can, or whatever, this is an option for you to be able to do during your high school year, or do going to college, and then also during college. So you served as an AmeriCorps member when you were your sophomore, junior year in
I
high
believe it
school.
was like sophomore, junior year. So at the time I was probably like
Yeah.
16, 17.
Yeah, you had to have been, because that's like the
Right.
cutoff.
Yeah. You can't do it at a time. Yeah.
Exactly.
I believe it was
Yeah.
junior year. Not probably not sophomore year. It had to be junior year. Yeah.
And you did 4 years. So you did it through high school, you did it through your senior year,
Through
and
college.
then
And I stopped. My last term was right before the COVID year.
okay.
So it was right before everything shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. So what were you doing? What were you doing as a member?
We did
And
tutoring.
sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. Where were you? This was in South Carolina, right?
Yes. Yes. So I was in South Carolina. My AmeriCorps was doing tutoring. So I was considered a literacy specialist, which means I went to schools, and we were all assigned different schools to go to during the summertime. And we would go and sit with kids, read, do different workshops with them. Sometimes we would incorporate math, but our main focus was literacy specialists to make sure that they were on the right track as they entered into their next school year.
And that was with Black River United
Right
Way,
away.
correct?
Yep.
Black River United Way, which actually, like we talked about real quick before we started, familiar with that organization when I was down in South Carolina. They were one of the visits that I was able to go to and meet a couple of the members and learn more about the program. I swear we probably walked past each. No, because you finished. No, because you finished
Probably
before COVID.
not.
Yeah, no, you finished before that. So during your service year, I've interviewed almost 60, over 60, as because you did the editing, over 60 members or 60 folks. And a lot of times I hear members who did service in schools that, like, the service and the students really impacted them in a certain way. Like they actually came away with a little bit of growth, a little bit of insight. What was that experience like, being in the classrooms with these, you said second and third graders?
Yeah, rising second and third graders. Yep.
Yeah. What was that like? And you were still young too.
I felt like I was like a big sister in the
Oh,
class. Like
yay.
it was more. I like to make because I think I can relate to them a little bit more than a teacher can. So whatever, like I was offered an assignment, I wanted to make it relatable. I wanted to make it fun. So if I had a kid that like motorcycles, I would bring motorcycles, we would count motorcycles, or we would try to get a book that is related to cars or motorcycles. Like I wanted them to be interested in what they were doing, but also learning as well. So I was more like the fun big sister type of relationship that I had with the kids. So yeah, it was interesting. And overall, like I enjoy kids. I love kids. So going there every day wasn't a problem.
Yeah. And so you went back every summer and you did
Yeah.
the tutoring. Was it in the same school? So were you kind
No,
of around?
actually I went to 3 different schools. Yeah.
Okay.
3 different. Yeah.
So you really impacted a lot of kids. Like you were
Yeah,
around a lot of
I was
different.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
So
everywhere.
after you did that, did you go to college after that? What did
I
you, what
did.
was,
I did go to
okay.
college, but my college experience and my AmeriCorps experience were totally on totally different spectrums. I know a lot of people was like, yeah, AmeriCorps influenced me for that. No, it was totally different.
Yeah. We'll stay AmeriCorps focused on this interview. But did you do AmeriCorps through your college years?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
Okay. So you finished up and then where did you go to school?
I went to Clark Atlanta HBCU in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Okay. And then what year did you graduate?
22.
2022. And then you couldn't get enough of AmeriCorps. What did you find yourself doing after that?
I actually became an employee for it. Good. I
And
did.
yeah, and what's your role?
I am the marketing assistant.
And as the marketing assistant, what do you feel like your biggest charge or goals are around, I don't know, the distribution of AmeriCorps fanfare?
Everything social media, as far as advertising, making flyers, posting, making sure that we are getting people engaged, making sure that we're getting people connected of what's going on. We have different events and workshops and making sure that people are knowing that we can help you. We have Welcome to AmeriCorps workshops. We have all different types of things. Go to dogoodbegood.com and it'll be right there for you.
Yeah, no, and it's a big spectrum. It's from member engagement all the way to,
Yeah.
hey, like, how do we make sure our finances are like
Yes,
checking our receipts and
we
all that
have
good
workshops
stuff?
from just members. We have recruiting workshops. We have time management workshops.
Hmm.
Um, we have workshops to make sure that we have member retention, all different things of AmeriCorps. So it's just not for the members, but it's also for the
Yeah,
who's
the program, like the program
yeah,
directors and
yeah.
managers and stuff. And Sharon is an alumni as well. I should have looked back to see which episode I interviewed her with, but I think it might be in the 20s or 30s. But I also want to go back to your experience because you did go to Do Good Be Good to work with their marketing, but you also went back to your roots,
Yeah.
United Way, Black River. It was like a full circle moment.
Full circle. I finished college, came back, got employed at Black River United Way. It was a random day. One of my coworkers was like, "Oh, I just got an email about a position open up for Do Good Be Good." Had no idea what Do Good Be Good was at the time. No
So
idea.
funny.
She was like, "Yeah, I got an email about Do Good Be Good, and I think that you could qualify." So she sent me over the information. I was like, "Okay." So I read it. I was like, I don't know. I've never done marketing. I've never done anything. I do social media, like I enjoy social media, but working doing it for someone else, no, I do it on my time. Whenever I want to do it, I
Yeah.
do it. I was like, maybe not. So now I settled on it, and I was like, the due date is coming up, so maybe I should just go ahead and apply and see what happens. I applied, went through the interview process. About a week or so later, I got a email. You got the job. I was like, oh, okay, here
Okay.
I am. Almost, it'll be a year in February that I have been the marketing assistant for Do Good Be Good, and it has been an amazing experience. I've learned a lot about social media, about marketing, about branding yourself
Hmm.
in this position. So not only it working out for me, but I've also gained a community of special people, and we talk, we meet, and it's been a great experience. Great experience.
And so one of the things I like to ask guests is we all end up, or we all, as in us alumni,
Yeah.
end up doing something different from what we were doing during our service year, right? Like I was in environmental education and I'm far from that now,
Yeah.
although I love it when I'm going for a walk and I can identify trees and people just look at me like,
What's
know
wrong with
this. And I'm like, oh, like it was so funny. I had a conversation at a conference and this woman worked for, I don't know, the World Wildlife Foundation or something like
her?
that. And she was talking about mangrove ecosystems. And I like could vibe with her because I had environmental studies like
Right.
background. And I was like, oh yeah, like they're one of the most endangered. They're just as important as like the Amazon rainforest. And she was like, don't you
How
just
do
do
you know
social
that?
media? I'm like, I bring stuff. I bring stuff. So so we go from our service year where we're really focusing like on in your realm, you were focusing with kids and
Yeah.
literacy. And would how would you describe how what you're doing now and maybe with Do Good Be Good or other things in your life? How do you harken back to that experience with your AmeriCorps year and with the kids and that, I don't know, the nostalgia of service and how service maybe like it really does get in your DNA. It like links into a little part of that helo, whatever it's called, and it duplicates over and it's, I still want to do service. Could you speak to a little bit of how you feel like maybe that um got into your blood?
Because now I've always had a love for kids. So when they said that I'll be working in schools, I was like, oh, I'm going to enjoy it. I've always just loved kids. So I will always have a passion for kids, and to know that the kids are our future. It just wanted me to invest into them and to I'm not the genius. I'm not the smartest person out here in the world, but the little things that I do know, I would love to pour into them. And then just for them to also see that I've been where they are. Like I was once a second grade. I was once a third grade. And here I am now, a college graduate going into grad
Yes.
school. So if I can do it, you can do it. It's not going to always be easy. The road is not going to always be paved all the way. If you need help, I'm always here. Just wanted to be that encourager, that inspiration for them.
So what do you do maybe outside of your role with Do Good, Be Good or the other organizations that you might focus with? Are you doing any volunteering or mentorship, or is there anything that you're doing? I don't know. What are the fun things that you do to kind of pour into that?
Actually, right now, I'm doing an internship, which is related to my school, but I'm doing an internship, still working, not technically working with kids. I'm doing an internship at a college. I'm doing an athletic internship. They are younger than me, so I consider them kids. Outside of doing athletic training, I've talked to other athletic trainers, and it's you want your athletes to connect with you. So everything doesn't have to be about work, everything doesn't have to
Yeah.
be about with athletic trainers, we do exercises, we talk about bones, we talk about muscles, we talk about rehab, physical therapy type of thing. But talking to all the other athletic trainers, it's like, yeah, you're here to do a job, but you also want to connect with your athletes so that they feel comfortable coming to you and talking to you about certain situations and certain things.
Yeah.
So I am on the spectrum of learning to, yes, I'm here to work, but also like, how did your day go today? What do you want to talk about? Is something
Mm.
on your mind today? Do you just want to vent today? Do you just want to get something off your chest? So it's more than work. It's just like I said, I've always been like, I'm coming from an only child household. Like I
Okay.
gravitate to different people. So I'm just like the athletic trainer, but also like are you okay today? Do you want to take a break today? You don't have to practice today. It's still preseason for basketball. So if you want to sit this one out, I understand mental health is a big thing. So and now school starting as well. So if you just want to take a little 30-minute break from practice today, I understand. Like just being that type of support connection for the younger generation.
Yeah, no, and I can actually see how your service year working with second and third graders that are learning how to read, you have to be very gentle, right?
Yeah,
Read the words. Like, we just went
yeah,
over
yeah.
this. Why don't you know it? Like, you have to be so gentle with them.
You
And
have to
I
find a
think
way to connect with them, and they can't connect with being hard. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that so my daughter is a college athlete. And so you're speaking to my soul because college athletes are supposed to perform. Like sometimes that's just their job. They're an
yeah. It's
athlete.
it's
And I know
crazy
they
because they
say you're a
put that
student
over.
first. Yeah. They're like, oh, you're a student first, but it's yeah, when you're
Yeah,
D1, you're not, right? You're the athlete, you do your homework on the bus. And I feel like if they especially speaking to her experience, if you can get with a trainer and you can decompress and make that connection. So I can definitely see how your service year set you up for um, being able to connect with individuals or people or athletes or whatever who are trying to go to the next level. And if you look at tutoring with
navigate.
kids that
Yep.
are reading, they're trying to go to the next level. You're trying to learn a skill, you're trying to do a thing. And to your point of like, how do you feel today? And sometimes that pain in your knee is not necessarily the pain in your knee, but it's more of a pain in your ass because somebody is pissing you off. And
Yeah,
you're like, my knee hurts.
but it's way more than my knee hurts. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. So are you transitioning into working as a sports therapist? Love that.
yeah. That's what I'm going to grad school for. Yeah.
No way.
I graduated undergrad as a biology student, one of the hardest majors, but
Biology.
yes, I made it through. Any STEM majors, it's hard. If you're
Okay.
out there and you're doing it, you can do it. Do it. Um,
If you're out there and you need support, find Mikayla on LinkedIn. She'll give you some moral support.
and I'm doing an internship to get at a local college, D1 college, so I understand the whole
Yeah.
schoolwork. I understand that and I get it. Doing an internship as an athletic trainer because I will be graduating with a master's in sports medicine. So that's what I said. My AmeriCorps and my future goals is a little bit different, but
Yeah.
it all collides together a little bit, just a little bit.
Things. But I think that for your situation, that ability to connect with kids and God love you because I cannot connect with little kids. I cannot. I was a substitute teacher and I started in kindergarten. And I was like, why are you crying and why are you wiping your snotty nose on my leg? No. And so
Yes,
I ended,
that's not what we do.
yeah. And so I ended up like going to high school and subbing in high school classes. And that was great. That was a great place for me. But I can understand where you really you have to settle in to the person that you're tutoring, to the child that you're tutoring. You really have to settle in to and connect with individuals, especially when you're talking about what's going on with their bodies.
With their
And when
body.
it's, yeah, and when it's so important because it has to do directly with their sport. And not in a bad way, but like their ego and
Yeah,
who they
yeah.
personify themselves at. If I can't show up to practice, does that mean that I can't start? And what does that mean? And I think that's amazing. I think it's super amazing.
It's I'm glad that you said that because it's I don't want to make it seem like this, but it's different when the divisions of the school is different. So when you have a D1 athlete, it's like the pressure's on. The game's like
Yeah.
they have pressure on themselves. They got pressures from their teammates. They have pressures from the coaches. They got pressure from school, outside of
Media.
school.
Yeah.
And then not only that, here comes game day. It's a camera right here and a camera right there and a camera right there. You're on national TV. You got a sold out arena. You got a sold out stadium. So yeah, I need to make sure that I'm healthy. I need to make sure that all of my bones and ligaments are moving correctly. So it's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that what's so exciting to me, and as you were just speaking, I got really excited that there's 1.3 million AmeriCorps members that have gone through service. And you'll never, unless we like continue to wear our buttons wherever we are, you'll never know. Maybe somebody's on the side of an NCAA basketball court and
Right.
going to an athlete and they're an alum.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's somebody like behind the scenes in marketing, or like Jason Rose who does communications for, I don't know, some little city in Idaho that is transportation. We're all like doing these things, but we're all coming from it with a heart of service.
Yep.
We're all coming to what we're doing now with a heart of not what's best for Nicki or what's best for Mikayla, but what's best for the community that I'm serving. And I
Mhm.
honestly, truly believe that starts when we serve as AmeriCorps members.
It's embedded in us. What can we do to make a difference, or what can we do to make a change? I think we are always looking for things to make better. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we cover everything that you want to share. So is there anything else that you want to share about anything that any goings ons with Do Good Be Good, anything that's going on with you? And if folks have questions or they want to connect with you, what's the best way of doing that?
As far as for me, nothing exciting, just school. No, nothing too much.
Can anybody volunteer to get some type of fascia massage? I don't know. Do you do any of that in your training?
Unfortunately, I don't do
Uh,
massages. I don't do massages. I do if you have an injury. I can help with those type of things, but as far as massages, no.
no. Okay. Excellent. But I really thank you so much. And honestly, folks, you've no idea. Mikayla and I will text each other. I'll send things to her at 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, here you go. And she turns it around to me like the next day at like 9. And she's, I've added all the stupid things that you said. No, she doesn't say that. I swear to God, she doesn't say that. But I'm really excited and so happy to have you on the front side of the podcast and highlight your service year and everything that you're doing. It's just a reflection of how national service and AmeriCorps just builds us up from the inside, and it
Yeah,
grabs us and we just don't stop. We're just like,
just
okay,
keeps going.
it
And I
does.
don't think that I don't think I really recognized how deep of a connection it was until I just had a conversation with you. Like it literally started from AmeriCorps, and I'm still serving. Though I'm an alum, like I'm still serving. I don't think the connection clicked till just having this conversation. So yeah,
I love that. I love that.
yeah,
And that's the reason for this podcast, is for us to conjure up and remember what we did as service and to be like, yeah, you know what? Oh my God, that is still like pouring out of me
Yep.
now.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Mikayla, and everybody. Thank you for hanging in there and listening to the end of the podcast. And we'll have another interview with an AmeriCorps alum. And we've got some really exciting things coming down the pipe. Like I am having some super exciting conversations with people, and things are just going to get better and better. So thank you so much. And we'll see you next time on the AmeriCorps Connections podcast.